Hello, hello, hello.
All right.
Everybody watching, doing a quick mic check, testing our mic. You can look at that current temperature at the airport, 64. Oh, it's going to be changing quickly, very quickly. This is a rowdy cold front that's moving through, and we're going to feel it. We are going to feel it. Some of us already feeling it quite a bit. All right. Our wind has shifted northwesterly. Man, Bernie already down to 48 from 57 to 48. It's dropping quickly.
Very quickly.
Hello, hello. Yeah, okay, we're in
right.
business. We passed our mic check, our mic test. Okay. Oh, hello, everybody. Adam Caskey, Mia Montgomery here.
Hello.
This is, I'm really amped up today. I'm just warning you. I'm very amped up right
Yeah,
now.
very excited in the Weather Center.
Yes, very amped up and, ready for this potent cold front. It's just a big change coming and kind of gets us in our groove and in our element around here. Okay, I'm just gonna do a few things here behind the scenes, but while we do that, let's take a look outside. Hey, we have a little sunshine. Guess what? 64 degrees. Yeah, 64 degrees. Hard to believe because it's going to be a lot cooler very, very soon. Now, this is one of our unique appcasts where we don't have anything on the radar screen. You're not going to see us moving the camera around with our hands and all that kind of stuff. And this is just all about the cold front and what's to come, what you can expect here in the hours and days ahead, because big changes are happening very quickly. For example, Kerrville dropped, was it 21 degrees?
Quickly, like that.
In an hour? 21 degrees in an hour. Right? Big old cold front. So winds are gusting out of the north at 17 miles per hour right now, which does indicate the cold front has technically hit San Antonio International Airport. It's just the cold air is going to be another 30 minutes to an hour, behind the initial wind shift that we have. Look across the state. Pretty simple to spot the cold front. I mean, look at that. 5 right now in Amarillo, Lubbock at 13, along with Abilene, even Junction down to 26. Cold fronts on our doorstep, same with Del Rio. Del Rio 63. May feel mild right now in San Antonio at 64, but that's quickly changing. Look at Kerrville, already down to 36 degrees, but then you go to New Braunfels and it's 62. I mean, we're talking more than a 30-degree temperature spread from Fredericksburg to New Braunfels. Fredericksburg down to 28, New Braunfels right now at 62 degrees, but that's changing. I mean, basically every minute here, that's going to be changing quickly. And Cotulla, 64 degrees, is going to be still a few hours till that cold front gets farther south of San Antonio. So this cold front plunging southward quickly. Bernie down to 48, Bulverde at 52, Canyon Lake at 56, and Comfort right now at 42 behind that front. So let's talk about tomorrow morning. This is going to be our low point temperature-wise. Temperatures will fall quickly the rest of this evening, or this afternoon and evening, and tomorrow morning we'll be waking up to temperatures in the teens. Yeah, 18 around town, Comfort, Kerrville about 12, Seguin 17 in the morning. And our morning temperature trend is going to stay pretty cold. Saturday, 18, right? Christmas Eve. So as you do your last minute shopping, it's going to be cold. Christmas Eve day at 18 in the morning. And then even Christmas Day, we're talking 22 for the morning low. And coming up a little bit later, we'll compare that to the coldest Christmas mornings that we have on record. Tomorrow afternoon, barely above freezing. I mean, we're talking mid-30s, so a few degrees above freezing, and just briefly for a few hours. But you get into the hill country, Kerrville, Comfort, Bernie, Bulverde, even Canyon Lake area, and we may not even make it to or even above freezing tomorrow afternoon. That does change on Saturday. Christmas Eve up to 40 degrees locally, and then Christmas Day, Sunday, we're talking upper 40s, even right near 50 degrees. And then here you go. This isn't going to last all that much longer. This is not like the extended freeze that we had in February of 2021. By Wednesday of next week, we're looking at a high right near 70 degrees. So this is a quick freeze, and our first freeze of the year is a hard one, meaning 28 degrees or less, and that's going to be the case for the next 3 mornings. Okay, that's only part of the story. Wind, that's another big factor here. North wind right now is starting to kick up. We're seeing a gust up to 38 in San Antonio, 30-mile-per-hour gust in Kerrville. This is just an appetizer of what's to come in regards to the wind. Bernie gusting to 25, New Braunfels gusting to 26. Here's our future cast going through time. Notice by 5 o'clock, widespread wind gusts between 30 and 40 miles per hour. We get past sunset, wind gusts in excess of 40 miles per hour. This is 7 p.m. For example, the model saying Bernie could have a gust of about 44 miles per hour, Helotes about 41, Tarpley, Bandera, Los Maples gusting to 45 miles per hour. So real deal wind tonight. You've been warned if you have inflatables out in the yard, and especially if they're on a timer, make sure you either secure them down tighter than ever before or just keep them deflated. Okay, you don't need the inflatables tonight. They may become your neighbor's inflatables late tonight and by early tomorrow morning, because the wind's going to keep howling through the night. And that's going to make it feel, of course, a lot colder than the actual air temperature. That's when we talk about wind chill. When you have exposed skin that's not covered, it's what it feels like to that exposed skin. And wind chill, by the way, does not affect pipes, okay? Only living organisms like us and pets, of course, does it affect. Doesn't even affect your car's engine either. So air temperature by 5 p.m., 32 degrees. Notice 7 p.m., the air temperature, 27. But when you factor in the wind, it's going to feel like we're down in the teens by then. Gets even worse overnight. Air temperature, say 3 a.m., right near 20 degrees, but the wind chill dipping down into the single digits. So the feels like temperature at times tonight, and even first thing tomorrow morning, down in the single digits. And if you get up into the hill country, even a few wind chills periodically, not consistently, but periodically dipping below zero. This morning, of course, we had the chill, mist, fog. This is the wrong weather story. We're going to get the other weather story up here in just a second. That was the wrong weather story. But let's talk about the big picture and what's happening. Big barreling upper level low pressure system. And the pink color on the map here, the pink and white, indicate the coldest temperatures on the screen right now. And these upper level lows, the counterclockwise circulations, are directly correlated to cold air. Basically, it's the opposite of the big blue H. It's the opposite of the upper level ridge and the big blue H that sits over us in the summertime. These upper level lows dip southward, pull that cold air down, and it's giving us that Arctic blast today and the next couple of days. You look at the temperatures behind that front. I mean, below zero as close as parts of Kansas and even Colorado. Dalhart, 7 degrees and quickly dropping. So you even get up into far north Texas and temperatures single digits right now. And of course, teens below zero in some of the coldest areas. As for our future cast and going forward here, we'll get to that in a minute. We'll update that soon. But I want to talk about our 7-day forecast. Tomorrow morning at 18 degrees. By tomorrow afternoon, we're at 34. Saturday morning, we're at 18. Sunday afternoon, up to 40. Here's the key. Afternoons above freezing. That's what's nice with this. And that's how this also differentiates us from February of 2021, when we had 107 hours straight of freezing temperatures. Worst case scenario, even if our forecast is wrong for tomorrow afternoon and say we have a high of 31 or 32, worst case scenario would be about 42 hours at freezing. Okay, that's a fraction of the 107 hours that we had back in 2021. Also, notice a lot of sunshine. Next few days, that sunshine goes a long way. Also, no precipitation. That's the nice thing. No snow, no ice, no rain, just good travel on the area roadways.
Which is great for the travel. And that's something that if anyone was tuning into our noon newscast earlier, we ran a story about how where that parent area of low pressure that Adam was talking about earlier up across the upper Midwest, even when it was pushing across the northern plains in the Front Range, that's where that wintry precipitation has been found, and that's where the travel impacts have been. But it's just kind of crazy to see especially when Adam kind of showed that across the lower 48, how much real estate this particular plunge of cold air has really impacted. I mean, a good portion of the lower 48 finding at least cold temperatures from this specific area of low pressure. So yes, because we're not expecting any wintry precipitation here across south central Texas, that is great news when it comes to road conditions and traveling that you may be doing here across the area. And by the way, while we're here, if you're tuning in through our KSAT Weather Authority app, thank you so much. Great resource there. But also, we are streaming live on our KSAT 12 YouTube page. And so if you have any specific questions or just anything that you'd like us to answer for you, or just kind of wanting to see maybe what the temperature is in your specific area, drop us a comment, drop us a question there. I've got it pulled up here in the weather lab, and I'm going to be monitoring this here over the course of this appcast, and I'm just looking at some of the comments right now. Some folks saying that yes, it is a crazy temperature spread from one side of the area to the other, and that is going to be the case as we see this front move through behind it. Expect those temperatures to fall very quickly, and this is one of those cold fronts that you're going to know that it's here. Sometimes here in south central Texas, we see a weak cold front move in. We're like, oh, was that the front? Yeah, maybe a little bit of a breeze. This front, you are going to know when it is passed through the area, because not only are temperatures going to fall very quickly, but it also is going to get windy and gusty out there, as Adam was talking about earlier, with some wind gusts upwards of 40 to even 45 miles per hour possible later, which of course is what causes us to then add that wind chill factor in to the picture here as well. But some folks saying not looking forward to tomorrow morning. Yeah, tomorrow morning is going to be incredibly cold out there and pretty windy, so that is something to think about. Jason saying inflatables going to be traveling a bit. Jack hasn't bought the inflatables yet. Yeah, that's probably good at this point. It is going to be pretty gusty out there. And again, I'm just checking through some of these. Okay, yes, plants. Yeah, so I mean, cold front's knocking on our front doorstep. Hopefully, throughout the past several days, we've been talking about all of the hard freeze preps, protecting people, protecting pets, plants, and your pipes. Just need to make sure that we are checking in on those that maybe don't have central heating systems. Of course, bringing the pets inside, covering up those exposed outdoor faucets and spigots. And then, yeah, we just need to cover up sensitive vegetation and bring potted plants inside too, Adam.
Yeah, and if you didn't have a problem back in February of 2021, you're not going to have a problem with this. And even if you did have issues in February of 2021, it's unlikely that you'll have those same issues this go around. And here's a comparison. February of 2021, 107 hours straight of sub-freezing temperatures. This week, as I talked about earlier, worst case scenario. Worst case, say our forecast is a little off, we could see maybe 40 to 42 hours of temperatures below freezing, at or below freezing. Plus, supposedly, the power grid's ready, as they say. And I mean, we've had cold snaps like this before, and the power grid was fine. Crippling ice and snow is what we had back in 2021. February 2021, not one, but a few hits of snow and ice causing more issues when it came to the power grid, and of course travel. No precipitation here. We're looking at nothing but sunshine. Also, back in 2021, the coldest we got was 9 degrees. This time around, the coldest should be about 18. And I think the biggest differentiating factor is the hours below freezing. Hey, we're down to 60 now, that temperature.
And I was just going to say, I'm checking out our kind of updates that update more regularly here from San Antonio International. We're down to 55 as of the latest reading there.
This can't even keep up. That's the graphics are going to have a problem keeping up. Yes, they are, because that information gets sent out and then it gets pulled in, and by the time we pull it in, it's already changed a little bit. So 55, the latest reading from the airport, and that's 9 degrees cooler than where we were just a little. I mean, 20 minutes ago?
We were at 64 at 1:15. So
there you go. Yep. All right, looking across the state, we've got single digits up in the Panhandle and into Oklahoma. There's our cold front. We're at 55 now in town. There's depression. Kerrville almost at freezing, 33 degrees. And by the way, if you are around San Antonio, anticipate temperatures to be at or below freezing by about 5, 6 p.m. So if you haven't taken the necessary precautions, particularly for the pets and plants, be sure to before then. Pipes, you have a little more time, and honestly, I think most of our pipes will be okay. It's just for some of the more rural areas, ranches, and even some of the older homes that have the fully exposed pipes that are outside. If they're completely exposed, not insulated at all with the styrofoam, then yeah, that would be an issue. But most homes should be okay. Here's our futurecast. Notice by 6 o'clock, we're down to 29 degrees in San Antonio, 32 Hondo, Pleasanton, you're close at 37. This is 6 p.m. this evening, Hill Country down in the low 20s. By 10 o'clock, we're in the 20s all across Bexar County and 7 surrounding counties as well. And our whole area is at or below freezing. Del Rio 27, even Cotulla by 10 o'clock down to 30 degrees. And then check this out. Tomorrow morning, many of us starting the day in the teens. About 18 here in San Antonio. You get to 17, Seguin and New Braunfels, Comfort, Kerrville, about 12 degrees in the morning. Even Floresville, Mia's hometown.
Yeah, go Tigers and Jaguars.
Straight off of 181.
Straight out of Wilson County.
That's right. Right up, down 181. 20 degrees in the morning, so a hard freeze. And if you haven't taken those precautions for the pets and plants, remember, this is going to come pretty fast. Tomorrow afternoon, cold, but at least we'll have the sunshine, and that goes a long way when it comes to mitigating, say, freezing issues with pipes. For example, if you have a pipe, say, in an upstairs bathroom, and that pipe is running on the exterior wall, and there's, just happens to be not the best insulation there. Back in 2021, that was the problem. Here, especially with the sun shining down on it and beating down on that wall, it helps a lot. I mean, I'm not telling you not to take precautions, okay? That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying I don't foresee nearly as many issues as what we had back in February of 2021, our extended freeze. Morning low temperatures, upper teens next couple of days, so frigid. And not only that, very windy tonight and tomorrow morning. We'll get into those wind chills again in a moment. Then we get into Sunday morning, Christmas Day, 22 around sunrise. Hey, perfect for Santa. It's like he ordered it up for him, right? Reindeer feeling right at home. Speaking of Christmases, these are the coldest Christmas mornings on record. 1983, 11 degrees Christmas morning. Thankfully, we're not going to be that cold. I mean, let's be honest. But I do think our forecast here takes us to the second coldest Christmas morning on record. 22 degrees is what we're expecting. And that would put us in second place for coldest Christmas mornings. Now, Christmas afternoon is going to be quite a bit warmer. We'll be up to about 49 degrees. And I don't even think that breaks top 10 for coldest Christmas afternoons. So it's really the morning that we're focusing on in terms of the rankings and how we'll stack up. But we're not even expecting record-breaking temperatures either. Speaking of highs, check out this trend. We get into the low 60s by Tuesday. Next Wednesday, we're at 68. Thursday, this will be long forgotten, as we'll have a high temperature of 70 degrees. So obviously a warming trend on the way, whereas back in February of 2021, we had these temperatures at and below freezing for 4.5 days. Okay, that's not the case here. That's nice. All right, let's talk about a futurecast with the wind. We're going to see those gusts between 40 and 45 miles per hour later on this evening. This is just one computer model, and for example, at 7 p.m., we'll stop it here. Canyon Lake gusting to 40, and 41 Bulverde, Bernie gusting to 44, even around Converse, wind gusts about 37 to 40 miles per hour. And this is going to add that extra chill to the air. Notice by 9 o'clock, we have a model saying 47 mile per hour wind gusts. So clearly anything that's not secured outside, inflatables in particular, it will likely become problematic later on tonight. And you'll probably hear that wind as well. Just notice, some of those northern facing windows, sometimes they rattle a little bit. It's just the high winds, or you hear that howl going between your homes. It's the high winds. Also, if it is your trash day, please.
Good point. Good point.
Take in those trash cans as quickly as possible, and those lids will be flopping, and this is the kind of wind that blows those trash cans down the street a few houses too. If they've already come by and emptied it and it's not heavy. Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about, Amelia, you want to break this down for you? I'm going to pass it off to you. You can talk about the temperature and wind chill. I'll line up the camera for you as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, that would be great. So yes, we know, and actually I was just checking some of our messages that we have between the weather team, and Sarah Spivey's in the downtown area right now, and she was saying that the front has just now hit downtown. Seeing the winds pick up, it's likely going to get pretty cold. I was also checking our observations that we were monitoring over at the airport, now down to 54 there. Again, that is going to just drop even more so over the next several hours. So we know that it's going to be windy out there. We know that it's going to get cold. And when you factor in those two things together, that's when we introduce that wind chill factor. As Adam was talking about earlier, that does not affect your pipes, but it's what it feels like to expose skin on your body when you do step outdoors. So that is something to just be extra aware of. Earlier this morning, we were telling folks, if you're stepping out for the morning drive, for those that are still working today, yeah, it was chilly this morning, but when you are coming home from work later this afternoon and evening, it is going to be a different type of cold out there, and it's going to be very windy. So hopefully you brought your puffy big jacket and maybe your scarf and your earmuffs there as well, because yes, so this is what we're looking at here over the next several hours into the evening, and then later on tonight. By 5 p.m. approaching sunset, we're expected to be at that freezing mark, or at least pretty close to it here in San Antonio, and then that's going to continue to fall. Those temperatures drop off even more so later tonight and through the overnight. And also what's pretty interesting about this is a lot of times when we see temperatures dip down and get super cold through the overnight, we often have clear skies and light winds. That's what we call radiational cooling, but we're still expecting windy conditions through the overnight, so that's just a testament to kind of this surge of cold air. This is just a different case behind this front moving in, just all of that cold air moving into south central Texas. Again, we'll wake up tomorrow morning around 18 degrees here in San Antonio, some low teens possible and really expected across parts of the hill country. And then of course this pink here is that wind chill value, that feels like temperature, what it feels like to your body when you do step outside, in the single digits expected as we head into tomorrow morning. So something to think about, of course, if you are traveling tomorrow morning or anything, just expect it to be so very cold and stay inside if you can. All right, so as we head into kind of just the next 12 hours or so, expect it to still be very windy outside. We were talking about Christmas decorations earlier. If you have any inflatable Santas, any inflatable Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeers, either make sure that they are very much so secured, or just go ahead and keep them deflated. So that way we really don't have to worry about any issues there with the Christmas decorations. Make sure that those are secured, and then just expect it to be very cold. We were just talking about those wind chills that we are expecting tomorrow morning, but of course, in theme with all of this, we are not expecting any ice, no snow, no rain, nothing really like that. In fact, kind of just the opposite, more sunshine, right? Especially tomorrow and into Christmas Eve and into Christmas Day as well. So that is good news when it comes to road conditions. A lot of folks hitting the road here across south central Texas over the next few days to get to and from your holiday celebrations, which is great. It is going to be cold, and today and tomorrow morning it's going to be windy, so that might be an issue for some high profile vehicles. But for the most part, we're not going to have any travel issues associated with this frontal passage. And speaking of which, take a look at this. This is a satellite loop here. So this is looking down from space at all the clouds that we've got moving through. We had a little band of clouds that moved in the 11 o'clock hour, but this second push of clouds that you see approaching from the north, there it is. That's the leading edge of that cold front. Remember how Sarah was saying earlier that it just hit the downtown area? That's the leading edge right there that is now pushing in to Bexar County. I'll check in a little bit to see what our temperature is here at the airport now that we are seeing those winds shift in from the north. And of course, that is essentially what's opening the door for that cold air to surge into the area. But really not looking at anything in terms of rain out there. We're pretty quiet. It is worth noting, Earlier this morning near Abilene and even stretching up to the DFW area, there were actually some flurries that were reported out that way thanks to some of the moisture that was ahead of the front that was kind of being shoved up over some of that coldness. And a few flurries were able to survive the journey down there to the ground. Of course, it didn't have any issues or impacts on travel, and we're not really expecting that here. And again, it was farther up in North Texas, but where there has been plenty of more of that widespread snow and even some rain out there today across the upper Midwest, you can kind of see where that freezing line is too, associated with that cold air where the rain then transitions quickly over to snow. But that parent area of low pressure that has been responsible for sending this cold air into a good portion of the lower 48 is currently right about there, closer to the Great Lakes region. And again, with that cold air funneling in behind it, there's more snow impacting places like Chicago, Milwaukee, St. Louis. Earlier, that's where we were looking at some travel impacts for flights coming in and out, especially at Chicago O'Hare. We were talking about that earlier on the news at noon. But ahead of that freezing line moving into parts of Kentucky and then, of course, Tennessee, there's just some rain out that way. But here across the Lone Star State, especially over the past hour or so, it's just been quiet. But there's that low pressure system that is just moving quickly farther off to the east, and you can see behind it this pink color, even this blue color. That's just that Arctic air that's been able to work its way farther down to the south, and that will continue to be the case here over the next several hours as we see it push through south central Texas, and that is going to set us up for those big changes later this evening through the overnight. Some hard freezes expected, not just tonight, but into tomorrow night and likely into Saturday night there as well. But then also, as Adam was talking about earlier, we've got the sunshine, and that is just going to be very, very helpful when it comes to helping our temperatures. And we've also got dry air in place as well. So those two things together helping our temperatures rebound just a little bit into the afternoon. It's of course still plenty cold out there, especially tomorrow afternoon. But just big picture, taking a look across the lower 48, really the brunt of this cold core of Arctic air you see across the plains stretching over into the upper Midwest. It's -12 in Bismarck, North Dakota right now, -17 in Cut Bank, Montana, 22 in Seattle. So Seattle seeing some below freezing, sub-freezing temperatures. Here in the Lone Star State, it's 7 in Dalhart, way up there in the Panhandle. 14 in Lubbock, 21 in San Angelo. San Angelo, I was watching their temperatures earlier this morning, and once again, those, of course, were falling pretty fast. In fact, Junction, just before we hopped on the noon newscast, they dropped from 54 to 29 in like a matter of 40 minutes or something like that. I mean, it was just crazy how quickly those temperatures were able to fall. And so here in San Antonio, again, we're seeing that front move through Bexar County as we speak. And so just through the next several hours, expect those temperatures to continue falling. We'll be near freezing here in town by about 5 p.m. And of course, with those wind gusts upwards of 40 to 45 miles per hour this evening, that also is going to mean that it's going to feel probably closer to the teens later this evening for those evening plans as well. And then a hard freeze is expected overnight tonight into tomorrow night as well as Saturday night. So your pets outside, let's make sure that we are bringing them in, of course. And just when it comes to your vegetation, hopefully you've been keeping up with the forecast over the past several days, because we've just kind of been talking about the different ways that we can prep for that vegetation, covering sensitive vegetation, and then bringing in those potted plants that you were able to, bringing those inside. Because yeah, tomorrow morning we'll wake up near about 18 upper teens here in Bexar County. Of course, course, with still some gusty winds out there. It'll feel like the single digits at times. A little bit colder in terms of those air temperatures in the hill country, some low teens possible there. But again, that sunshine helping those temperatures climb ever so slightly into the 30s as we head into our Friday afternoon. Saturday for Christmas Eve. Cold, hard freeze start yet again, but we start to see that warming trend in the afternoons take shape. So we're closer to about 40 Saturday afternoon. And then when Santa Claus is coming to town, getting ready Christmas morning, still going to be plenty cold out there in the low 20s. But then those afternoon temperatures start to climb closer to about that 50-degree mark.
All right, and we're showing you
Oh, here we go.
Yeah, a page straight from the internet, and we just want to show you this far left-hand side. Do you mind hitting the button on? No, at the camera operator in the control room.
Yes,
yeah, thank you.
Absolutely.
It's technically not a button, tapping the screen. But you can see the temperature drop. We're down to 53 degrees now at the airport, and that's at 1:55 p.m. that was measured. And you see all the other data there as well. But you go back to 1:30 p.m. and it was 63 degrees. So clearly, within a half hour, we've seen that 10-degree temperature drop, and it's going to get even more. It's going to drop even more sharply here soon. You're going to see it's going to become more drastic very soon. All right, I'm going to fire this up, and here we go. Here's your planning forecast. By 3 p.m. down to 41 degrees. 5 p.m. we're at 32, so freezing point at 5 p.m. Then we get to 7 p.m. we're already down in the 20s, and this is for San Antonio. It's going to be even sooner in the hill country and colder in the hill country. Notice how those temperatures fall through the 20s. They don't just hold tight, they fall through the 20s, and by 3 a.m. we're 21 degrees, and then upper teens by 7 a.m. tomorrow. Here's another way to look at this front as it moves through, and another way to identify it is with the dew point. So a cold front can have a drastic drop, or not, doesn't have to be drastic, but a drop in temperature and or moisture content of the air. Obviously this is both, but dew points are already down to near 40 degrees locally and down into the 20s up in the hill country. These dew points will continue to plummet. So if you're susceptible to dry skin, chapped lips, get ready for the next 3 days. You're going to feel it significantly. You want to have the skin moisturizer and even the chapstick or lip balm around.
Yes, exactly.
Because you will feel it. Dew points will drop down below zero. We'll have dew points with negative values. So that's the kind of dry air we don't often see around here, and we're not accustomed to it, and our skin, you may get a little crackly, so keep that in mind.
And you might shock things too, right? Whenever you touch like a doorknob or something.
We do have an explainer in our graphics. Yeah.
We can hunt that down, yeah.
If you want to, get the folks in your family. Yeah. So when air is very dry, it's very conductive. That's why you get shocked when you press, you tap a door handle, metal door handle. Get on a carpet, okay? If you're on a carpet, socks, no shoes, socks. Shuffle your feet like this. Really get that charge going, and then tap your sibling. That's what my brother and I used to do to each other.
My goodness.
Yeah. You just get it all charged up and then. Especially if you can sneak up on him. It's really good. Okay, I want to talk about the mountain cedar. Oh, I don't know if we updated today's count. Do you know what it is offhand?
It's 10.
Oh, it is updated. There you go. Okay, 10 today, not 10 tonight. The mountain cedar is going to change significantly. The wind is already coming out of the north. We have the higher concentration of mountain cedar trees up in the hill country. The north wind this time of year during mountain cedar season always spikes the counts. We anticipate the cedar count to rise for tomorrow and probably be in the moderate to high category. I think it'll be high, but with this north wind, usually we see a big jump. So that's another factor that you may not be considering in the back of your head. And also, if you have people visiting from out of town who aren't used to mountain cedar, that's just not something that their sinuses and their body deals with, prepare them in advance that they may be noticing this when they arrive, either later tonight or tomorrow, Saturday, or even Christmas Day. So mountain cedar is an issue. And I say that because, my parents will travel here from Minnesota, and I always tell them a week in advance, take your antihistamines, take your meds. What does my dad do? No, I'll be fine. I'll take it when I get there. I'm not kidding you. He's driving in his truck down I-35 and his palms of his hands start getting itchy. This happens all the time when they come down here in the spring. I'm like, I told you. Even in the winter, I told you. So you've been told, you've been warned, Papa, but you're not coming down here this year, unfortunately, for Christmas. Anyway, I get on tangents sometimes, but you know, comes with the territory. Looking at these temperatures, we talked about this. We've got the double digits below zero up north. I love checking in with Dawson Airport up in the Yukon. Northwestern Canada here, 51 below zero. 51 below! That's some wicked cold right there. They've got some geographic features that, you know, add to that and help them get that cold. But Fort Nelson, 33 below, Yellowknife at minus 36. And let's not forget my favorite city, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, 15 below. And I believe the locals do refer to it as Saskatchewan, not Saskatchewan. Saskatchewan. Just one of those things.
Have you been there?
I've never been to Saskatoon.
Okay, we gotta make that happen. You're gonna have to go.
I follow Leroy and Leroy on Instagram.
Yeah.
This is so dumb, it's funny. They're all around Saskatchewan, and that's why I know Saskatchewan and not Saskatchewan. Anyway, that's where the cold air builds. And actually, one reason we get these cold outbreaks is because an area of high pressure up north, I'm gonna go back to here, okay? Hold on, we'll get to our currents in just a second. Whoop, 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 whoop. Here we go. So, and this happens in Siberia quite often as well. But this time of year, I mean, we just had the winter solstice. You get to the Arctic Circle and there's no sunlight, okay? And there's snowpack, there's ice as well. So the air just gets really, really, really cold if it's just sitting there. So the air sits there for a week or so, just gets colder and colder and colder. Doesn't have the sun to warm it up. And even if it gets a little glimpse of sun, it's not enough, especially with the albedo, which is the reflection of that sun off the snow. So the cold air will just build, then the wind will shift and push it southward, and that's what we're seeing. Actually, the air that we have right now in the lower 48, it came from Siberia. If you watched this last week, we were tracking those temperatures in Siberia, and that's where it came from. Siberia, especially when you get a good early snowpack in Siberia, that's where the cold air builds, and then it'll travel up and over the North Pole into North America. So Siberian Arctic air. It does modify as it heads southward. Okay, it moves over warmer ground and a higher sun angle. That's why we're not seeing Siberian-like temperatures down here, nor will we ever. Latest gust, 33 miles per hour, steady out of the north at 24. Not a bad afternoon to fly a kite if you don't mind the chill, right? There's something for you. Dew points down to 41. Air temp's 53 for now, but I'm sure there's
52 now at the airport.
52, there we go. But already 6 in Amarillo, Oklahoma City at 4, Guyman, Oklahoma at 2 degrees. Look at Cotulla, 67. Even Del Rio at 66. Now Del Rio, the cold front is right on your doorstep. Del Rio to Rock Springs. Look at this temperature difference. 34 in Rock Springs and 66 in Del Rio. We're talking a 32-degree temperature difference. And what's that? Probably 30, 25 miles as a crow flies?
Yeah.
Something like that. Now that's what you call a real deal. Hard-hitting cold front. Let's take you through time. By 3 o'clock, so less than an hour from now, near 40 in San Antonio. Temperatures are dropping quickly. New Braunfels 37, parts of the hill country dipping down into the upper 20s. We talked about Del Rio, 52 degrees at 3 p.m. And then we get to 6 p.m. 3 hours later, and we're all below freezing, at least locally, along and north of Highway 90 for the most part. New Braunfels 28, then 29 in San Antonio. Cotulla looks like you'll hit freezing by about 9 or 10 p.m. So locations from Cotulla, Fowlerton, Tilden, Los Angeles. There is a Los Angeles, Texas. I don't know what the population is, but I think it's like
I'm gonna look it up.
It's like one building. I don't even know if they have a mayor, to be honest with you. But anyway, Los Angeles, Texas. Yeah, baby.
Population of 20 in 2000.
Oh.
So I'm gonna see if I can find anything. Yeah.
Interesting. Anyway, yeah, right along there. About 9, 10 p.m. is when you'll see the freeze set in, and then temperatures just plummet overnight. Check out Fredericksburg tomorrow morning, 10 degrees. Rock Springs at 11 or even 12. Going forecast, Canyon Lake in the morning, 14. Carrizo Springs, Crystal City, 24. Poteet, Pleasanton, Jourdanton, close to 20 degrees. Even Beeville and Victoria, 19. If you think this is a shock to our system, 18 San Antonio tonight. Corpus Christi, 23. That's an even bigger, it's very impactful and actually not good. Sometimes it can have an effect on some of the wildlife down there, particularly turtles. Sea turtles can get that cold shock. And I know there is a hotline, I'd have to double check, but there is a hotline where if you happen to be along the coast during this cold snap over the next few days, that you can call if you find a shocked sea turtle, and TPWD and even some volunteers will go out. And I know it's a big issue in February of 2021, but even in these brief cold snaps, that can be a problem. Sometimes there's a fish kill as well. I wouldn't anticipate a widespread one like what we had back in 2021, but sometimes it can affect the fish population. I'm not saying this one's going to. As a fisherman, I'm not saying this one's going to, but yeah, sea turtles get shocked all the time. All right, back on topic here. Tomorrow morning, upper teens, we've told you that. Stinson, Southside, 21. Bulverde, 15. Bernie, 15 degrees. Oh, getting you in the mood for Christmas time. Absolutely. Good Irish coffee weather, if you ask me. That's my signature drink. One of the few things I can do well in the kitchen is make a good Irish coffee. And this is Irish coffee weather. Tomorrow afternoon, we're going to be in the mid-30s. 34 briefly in San Antonio. Barely above freezing. Irish coffee. Let me give you my Irish coffee recipe, if you don't mind holding tight with me.
I was going to say, yeah.
Okay. So I've always, liked them. But then about 14, 15 years ago, I took a trip to Ireland, and one of my goals was to learn the true authentic Irish coffee. So you have to get the Irish coffee glass mugs, the nice ones with the handle.
Oh, yeah.
They're like a couple bucks at Bed Bath & Beyond. You can totally, they're not, or at least they were when I bought them. Now they're probably like 10 bucks, right?
Inflation.
Hey, I'm gonna get to my joke later.
Okay.
I gotta stay on track. Okay, Irish coffee weather. And you take, all you need is brown sugar, Jameson, and yes, Jameson, and then your coffee, and then whipped cream, but buy heavy whipping cream, the liquid, and whip it yourself. Okay, whip it so you get the peaks and valleys. Okay, that's the key. So at the bottom of your Irish coffee mug, and maybe half a teaspoon of brown sugar, then to the base of the handle, Jameson, then pour in the hot coffee to the top of the handle. These are the proportions, you gotta get them right. Stir, and then scoop and dollop your hand-whipped cream on top. Okay, I use a mixer to whip it too, make it quicker. And then here's the final key. Garnish, cinnamon. Gotta put a little garnish of cinnamon on top, and woo-wee! Oh, it's
that
good.
sounds very good.
Yep.
I'm sure it looks just as good as
right.
it probably tastes.
We're 5 minutes away from a cut-in coming up here. So we'll get to that in just a little bit. But look at our wind gusts. 33 miles per hour here in town. New Braunfels gusting. These are just the most recent gusts, not maximum gusts. Oh no, maximum gusts, we're gonna be in the 40 mile per hour range. Notice the high winds right along Highway 90. That's where the cold front, or at least the highest wind, is now approaching, right along Highway 90. And look at our futurecast. Well, we'll get to our futurecast here in a second. Here's our futurecast in terms of our wind gusts. By 5 o'clock, maybe about 30 to 40 miles per hour. But after dark, you get to 8, 9 p.m., we've got some indications we'll see some wind gusts around 45 to 47 miles per hour in San Antonio. Usually that implies some higher gusts up in the hills of the hill country. So if you're on a property or your home is exposed up on a hill in the hill country, you're going to be feeling it. And be sure to secure any loose objects outside. Even sometimes some of that lawn furniture can get tipped over and blown away. Trampolines in backyards. It does not take much. If you have a really open and exposed backyard, it doesn't take much to get those trampolines going. It doesn't hurt to just put a few heavy rocks on the rail or something of it. It doesn't hurt. And even tomorrow morning, we'll have those wind gusts up to 30 miles per hour. So that brings into the whole scenario the wind chill, the feels like temperature. And remember, this is wind chill periodically. It's not a consistent reading, but it's when that wind picks up and it's steady. This is how cold it feels to exposed skin. It's going to feel like 18 at 5 p.m. Then we get to midnight, it's going to feel like it's in the single digits. So if you go outside to deflate the inflatables, oh, you're going to feel it, that's for sure. If you haven't, covered up your skin, and, it doesn't mean you're going to get frostbite right away. It's just you're going to feel that chill very quickly, feeling like 6 at midnight. And then even early tomorrow morning, early risers, say you're one of the ambitious folks that like to get up and do that long run or long bike ride, or even just taking the dog out for the walk. It's going to be cold. Air temperatures in the teens, but once that wind picks up and it hits you, which it will, it's going to feel like it's down to about 3 to 4 degrees. That'll be the feels like temperature on the exposed skin. So windy, of course, we talked about that, tying down the decorations. Cover your exposed skin if you have to go outside. It's one of those situations where sometimes you go where you can still get around and go where you need to go, right? But reminds me of when I was younger, you just run from the car to the store, or run from the car to the house, and you just make that dash and you get inside. So wind chill is obviously a big factor, but travel is going to be okay. No problems when it comes to travel across all of Texas. No ice, no snow, no rain, no sleet, no grapple, no hail, no freezing rain. What am I missing?
You got a lot of the hydrometeors.
Yeah, a lot of hydrometeors. I love that you put it that way. The hydrometeors. Yes, a lot of the hydrometeors. These little wavy clouds along the front. Beautiful, beautiful visible satellite imagery. Isn't that nice? Some clouds up in the hill country still, and I anticipate this gap in the clouds to fill in a little bit locally as well. By the way, they're telling me we're 1:30 away from a cut-in on air, so you'll see me switch it up a little bit, and I'll just go to probably the, I don't know.
You want me to start?
I'll go back to wind.
Okay.
Or we could do current temps, wind forecast, wind chill forecast. 7-day.
Okay.
Whatever you want. These maps are going to change around quite a bit.
A second.
Oh, let me get back to my joke. You know how they charge you at the gas station to put air in your tires, right? Inflation. Hey!
There it is.
It's because you mentioned inflation
there
earlier.
It is.
Okay. Yeah, here you go. You're
I was
welcome.
going to say, someone else actually dropped a joke into
Oh,
our
good.
chat.
Let's
What
hear
kind
it.
of soda does the weather guy like? Mountain Dew Point. I loved it. Thank you so much,
Mountain Dew
Steven,
Point.
for
I love
dropping
it.
that in our comments.
Oh, that's beautiful.
That was so good.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's a good one. That's a really good one. Okay, I like it. Okay, so we're 1 minute. All right, so we got our temps here. Got the cold front. Let's move through San Antonio. Look at Kerrville now down to 30. All right, 15 away. Is this one?
Here. I'll load you back
It
up.
doesn't
We're going to
matter.
go
Thank
here
you.
to winds, then to wind chill.
Oh, cool. Thanks. Oh, the cold front has arrived. Temperatures are dropping quickly outside, at least locally and north of Highway 90. That's where we have the cold front. It's still 66 in Del Rio, but not for long. Look at these temperatures upstream, behind the cold air where the wind is coming from. Abilene down to 14 along with Lubbock. Amarillo at 6 degrees. That cold front's pushing southward, and this is the kind of front that when it hits, ooh, you're going to notice it and you're going to feel it. Hondo 64 for now. That's not going to last very long. We've been seeing 20 to 25 degree temperature drops in 1 hour behind this front. So 60s south of Highway 90, Carrizo Springs, Pleasanton, lower 60s. Cotulla 67. Cotulla by about 9, 10 o'clock, you should be at freezing. It's not just the cold air too, but winds. Ooh, gusting right now. Kelly Field, 30 miles per hour. San Antonio International gusting to 33. Notice the winds are not gusting south of San Antonio and south of Highway 90 because we're still waiting on that cold front and that blustery wind. But soon we will all feel the wind and the gusts. We could even see some wind gusts up to about 45, even 47 miles per hour after dark. If you have inflatables in the yard and they're on a timer, just keep in mind to go unplug the inflatables or turn off that timer for tonight. Also, this is going to lead to some dangerous wind chills. Air temperature, the top number. Wind chill feels like the bottom number, this bright blue one. So 32 degrees at 5 p.m. in San Antonio, but you factor in the wind, it'll feel like 18. Running errands tonight or just going around, maybe going to a Christmas party or holiday party, bundle up and cover exposed skin. Late tonight and early tomorrow morning, wind chills, so feels like temperatures down in the single digits, and that's briefly to any exposed skin. Tomorrow afternoon, 34 degrees, so just barely above freezing for a few hours. Saturday, we do it all over again, 18 in the morning, then 40 by the afternoon. Christmas Day, sunny and near 50. Okay, we're clear off the cut-in. There we go. All right, let's re-rack a few things and
absolutely. So I'm just checking in with some of
Yeah.
the comments. Everybody here, thank you so much for joining us on our YouTube platform. Again, if you are joining us on our KSAT Weather Authority app and you have a question or just anything that you want to know a little bit more about this cold front moving in, you can head over to our YouTube page where we are streaming live, and we've got a comment section going on, and a lot of folks just chime in with some good questions, just wanting to know where the cold front is and if it's going to affect your area. Someone earlier was asking, will it affect Universal City? Absolutely. Cold front already moving through Bexar County, so temperatures have already started to drop, especially across the northern half of the county, and that will continue to be the case for the entirety of our area here as we head into the afternoon and into the evening. So someone was asking, when do we think the winds will start to slow down? That's a great question because, of course, we've been talking about the wind chill factor. That's one of the main reasons why it's going to feel even colder than the actual air temperature later today, this evening, tonight, and really tomorrow morning especially. Tomorrow morning it'll still be windy out there. Maybe not quite as windy as what we're looking to find later tonight. Some wind gusts upwards of about 25 to 30 miles per hour possible throughout the first half of the day tomorrow. But then after that, those winds will slowly start to subside. So as we head into our Saturday morning, still expecting a hard freeze. We've got a forecast low around 18 degrees here in San Antonio. Christmas Eve morning, while yes, the air temperature will be very similar to what we're expected to find out there tomorrow morning, the wind chill will not be as bad. It still will be cold, and you'll likely feel just a little bit colder in spots, but the wind chills are not expected to be as cold as what we'll find out there tomorrow morning, and that will be the case again as we head into Christmas morning. So that's a great question. Again, just reiterating for anybody that might have just popped on over the past 20 minutes or so, Adam was talking earlier about how wind chills do not affect your pipes. It's just what affects your exposed skin. So that's something that you dress for when you do step outside. It's the actual air temperature that affects your pipes and car engines and things like that.
That's a very important point. So the feels like nothing to do with inanimate objects.
Right. It just affects, us humans and pets and things like that. But that's what you dress for when you are stepping out the door. So yeah, some folks checking in here and chiming in about dry skin with those lowering dew points pretty quickly. Hair is still going to look nice, though. Yeah, that's true. You won't have to clutch the hairspray bottle as close as what we've seen here a couple weeks ago when it was just incredibly muggy out there. But yes, also some folks chiming in saying that they're hearing the winds pick up out there after the front does move through. Our awesome web team, come for the forecasting, stay for the recipes. Yeah, I bet you didn't know that you were going to get an awesome Irish coffee recipe when you jumped on to our
Let me get into my quiche. Oh, baby.
Oh,
that's
my
a good one.
goodness.
I can do that.
Adam needs to start his own recipe cookbook.
It would
think-
it would be like one page.
One page, but they're probably good, no
But
matter.
it'd be a great
no
page.
matter. And also, we were talking about earlier about the static and shocking. Our awesome web team also linked it
They did
in
good.
the comment section of our YouTube chat, so
Here
you
it
can
is.
go.
Spivey's done this graphic. It's awesome.
It's going to be
She made it.
awesome.
Yeah.
It's going to be awesome.
Thank you, Spivey.
Thank you, Sarah.
I'm gonna get right to it.
Okay, sounds like a plan. Here comes Adam.
Static shock. I know it says today. This is basically tonight through really Monday, basically. So if you ever notice when it gets really cold outside, especially if you're in socks and you're walking on carpet, but even that doesn't even have to be the case, that you may notice that you get a little shock when you press the door. And it just, it doesn't hurt. It's just kind of, a shock, right? You just notice it and it kind of surprises you for a little bit. And that's because the dry air is very conductive compared to muggy air. And so when you get that charge generated in your body, once you touch a metal object, you close that circuit and you get that little quick shock. So as I was saying earlier, in the wintertime when I was younger, my brother and I, we'd shuffle our feet on the carpet in socks, shuffle our feet, and then touch each other, and scare each other and spook each other. You're gonna notice that. And it's just something that happens. Also too, when you get out of your vehicle to gas up, it's good to touch the outside of your car before you go to the gas pump, just because there can still be a charge generated in your body. And when you touch that metal gas pump, sometimes you can get that little shock there. And it's better just to have it against your car. So I went to college at University of North Dakota, their aerospace department for meteorology. And up there, it's very dry. Actually, the lowest vapor pressure in North America is in North Dakota because it is the geographical center of North America. So North Dakota is the furthest from any ocean of anywhere in North America. Ocean is where we get our moisture in the air. And these long hallways, we had what we called gerbil tubes connecting buildings, so you didn't have to go outside. Long hallways would have carpets. And I would have to, in the wintertime, we're talking dew points 20s below zero. I would have to ground myself once I got to every building. Otherwise, by the time I got to the doorknob or where I needed to go, it would be such a huge shock and charge that it was like frustrating. So I'd just tap the metal rail as I'd go along. Anyway, little weird things about cold air and dealing with it. Okay, we know you know this, but pets, bring them indoors and keep them indoors for a while here. Plants, it's not too late. If you can, bring them inside. Covering them will hopefully help, but bringing them inside is going to be the best bet. And pipes, if it makes you feel better, you could drip some faucets. Now, that's not always encouraged depending on your municipality, because sometimes if everybody's doing that, it can lead to lower water pressure. I know that's an issue in Houston, not necessarily here. But any exposed pipe, if you have a crawl space, I hope those pipes are already covered in the foam insulation, those cheap, long black little foam things that look like the noodles.
Like
when
a
you go
pool
swimming.
noodle.
Yeah, like pool noodle. Maybe Mr. Pool Noodle, who invented them, got the idea insulating pipes, right? It's basically the same thing, just a little smaller. Any exposed pipe should be insulated. I have some in my garage from the city water underground comes in and then it goes to my water softener and filter, and the exposed pipes, I've got the insulation around them. It's just that cheap stuff, styrofoam, and I had no issues back in February of 2021. And I know that's not exposed outside, but it still got cold enough in the garage, so that's a good thing. Turn off sprinklers. We haven't talked about that yet. If your sprinklers are on automatic, which they shouldn't be this time of year anyway, because the grass isn't going to be growing, so you don't need to water right now anyway. Either way, if your sprinkler system's on, if it goes off at any point from now through about Monday morning, well, not at any point, but most points, and temperatures are cold, it'll cause ice to form. And we've had those issues on the roadways before, especially commercial buildings. If you're a manager of a commercial building, and people are leaving for the holiday, make sure your sprinklers are turned off. We've seen that before along the access road along 410. I know not far from the airport we've had that issue. Temperatures in the morning have been below freezing. A business's automatic sprinklers go off, and guess what happens? It coats the roadway in ice. So please make sure sprinklers are off, and especially in the commercial buildings and any business where people are going to be leaving and not monitoring it. All right, and of course, people, always checking on people without central heating, and just folks in general. That's Miss Helen down the street. We always check in on her, make sure she's good to go.
Exactly.
Yep. I'm her handyman. I replaced her faucet the other day. Yeah, we opened the cabinet, I'm like, you got water underneath here. And whatever, we figured this out and these leaks, and so, Anyway.
That was very wonderful.
Yep.
Good neighbor.
Watching out for Miss Helen. All right. Look at our visible satellite imagery. You really see that cold front, boom, as it hits, and the undulations in the clouds behind it. And very thick cloud cover farther to the north. Parts of the hill country and Edwards Plateau. Earlier today up near Abilene and even Dallas, there were a few snowflakes that fell from those clouds. We don't anticipate that here, but if in some rural area of, say Gillespie County, Kimball County, we see a rogue flake, it wouldn't shock me, okay? It wouldn't shock me.
And it wouldn't cause any travel issues
No.
either. No issues on the roadways whatsoever.
Amen. No, it wouldn't, it'd just be oh wow, white rain, is all it would be. And white sprinkle.
Rain.
White sprinkle is what it would be. But you see these little streaks, these little streamers earlier today. This is 9, 10, 11 a.m. closer to Dallas and Abilene, and that's where we had a few little pockets of snow. But the real deal is moving through the Great Lakes, especially Chicago, Midway, O'Hare, that's where there's going to be issues right now, stretching all the way down to St. Louis. Now this will pass, so if you have folks arriving tomorrow and say they have to connect or just, their plane could be affected from Milwaukee to Chicago to St. Louis, tomorrow's going to be just fine. This is just right now. This is all going to be moving eastward, and parts of New England and the East Coast being affected by some heavy rainfall and even some snow working its way up into the colder portions of Pennsylvania and New York. But luckily for most of the mid-Atlantic, this is just some cold, heavy rain at the moment. Big picture, upper level low. It's a thing of beauty, this upper level low. Ooh-wee. Yes, it is. Big wound up upper level low, counterclockwise circulation, as is the case here in the Northern Hemisphere. Southern Hemisphere, it's all reversed. But for our purposes, upper level low, that big counterclockwise circulation. And this isn't just one of those little ripples in the upper level flow we talk about, or a short wave. This is a real deal, long wave. And it's pulling that colder air southward. You could use the term polar vortex.
David Sears.
Polar vortex. All right. So that's directly related to our temperatures. This is the upper air wind, same as the map I just showed you. These white streamlines here indicate the upper level winds. When I say upper level, we're talking about 15,000 feet or so, which significantly influences us. And this upper level wind, that counterclockwise circulation, is directly correlated to our ground temperatures. Think of it in the summertime. When we have the big blue H overhead, that's an upper level high, and we've got the heat. Well, this is the opposite, the upper level low in the wintertime. So in the core of it, Bismarck, North Dakota, 12 below, Cup Bank, Montana, 17 below. Speaking of Montana, last night on social media I was looking, and state troopers were posting the video of the snow just blowing sideways, and they had wind chills down to 70 below zero in parts of Montana. Now Montana is very flat and open. I know people think of the Rocky Mountains, but that's really just western Montana. Most of Montana is very flat and somewhat boring, you would say. I mean, my grandpa's from eastern Montana, and he says that, And so the plains states up north are very, very windy because there's nothing to stop that wind. You don't have as much friction. Actually, North Dakota has, I believe, the highest concentration of windrows along, in a lot of agriculture, right? Along the farmland, windrows to break the wind. So they, farmers will plant big rows of huge trees, big swaths of them to break that north and northwesterly wind.
Isn't there a song, Oklahoma, where the winds come sweeping down the plains?
Yeah,
right?
And that's the same thing, because it's just that plains wind. So you're talking similar in Nebraska. Part of the Dust Bowl back in the 50s, 50s? What year am I thinking? I just read a book on it, silly me. No, 20s. 30s, yeah, because it was also tied to the Great Depression. Talk about a double whammy. One of the issues agriculturally was the topsoil being blown away from some of the high winds. Anyway, that's why you turn the soil. I'm not a farmer, I'm not claiming to be, but anyway, they have a high concentration of those windrows up in particularly the Grand Forks area to break that very high wind. May help agriculturally, but doesn't help when it comes to wind chill and how it feels. So this cold air just festers and brews up in Canada and even Alaska. 28 below in Fairbanks right now. Good old Dawson Airport, not Creek, Airport. You know the show, Dawson's Creek?
Oh.
I wonder if it's near the creek. It's stupid. Dad jokes. Gotta love them. 51 below there right now. Oh, here's an interesting question for you. All right, weather trivia. Everybody on YouTube, I'm going to give you 2 minutes.
Oh,
2
okay.
minutes, okay? No, because that's too long. People are just going to Google it.
Oh, yeah.
At what point does the Fahrenheit and Celsius scale equal each other? At what temperature do they equal each other? You know, 32 Fahrenheit is 0 Celsius, right? 10 degrees Celsius is 50 degrees Fahrenheit. 20 Celsius is 68 Fahrenheit. And 30 Celsius is what, 86 Fahrenheit, right? So they're all off. Answer is minus 40. At 40 below, Celsius and Fahrenheit are the same. So if you ever see 40 below or even very close to it, such as Yellowknife on the map at minus 36, it's about the same in Celsius. And I know Canada reports their temperatures in Celsius, but we convert them to Fahrenheit because that's what we go by here. And Fahrenheit is a much better measurement scale, if you ask me, because it's a lot more precise, higher resolution. You know, what's a few degrees Fahrenheit amongst friends? You're not going to notice the difference. A few degrees Celsius, you'll probably notice the difference, right?
And speaking of Fahrenheit, got an update for you for our friends out in Del Rio. We were waiting for the front. We were at 68 at 2:15. Within a matter of 15 minutes at 2:30, dropped down to 59. There you go.
There you go, Del Rio. We're talking Siberia. This map just popped up. They're not as cold as parts of North America because that cold air came up and over the North Pole. North Pole, not exactly denoted on this map, but it's right here basically. This is the North Pole. And that cold air festered there and came up and over, and now their temperatures have moderated a bit. Another interesting fact is usually, not in this case, but usually when we see our Arctic outbreaks here in the lower 48, Alaska actually sees a warming trend because a ridge builds up there, they see warmer temperatures, and it pushes and displaces that cold air down here. 53 right now. What's the latest at our airport?
46. So we were talking about earlier how our graphics are having a hard time keeping up with the quick drop in these temperatures. This is exactly an example of that.
Yep. So Del Rio, what did you say? Well, I forgot.
At 59.
Okay, 59. Oh man, we can't even keep up with redrawing that cold front.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's just, you know, it's one of those things, like a lot of people think, oh, the computers do everything for you. No, we hand draw where the cold front is. We have to analyze and hand draw it. And one fun thing you'll learn in meteorology school, that's what I call it, meteorology school, is, contouring. Weather maps, upper air charts and whatnot are computer generated, thank goodness. But you have to learn how to contour them by hand. And it's kind of an art. It's a science and definitely an art. But this cold front, it's farther south now. Look at Stinson Airport at 65. Then you get to Bulverde, 37 degrees. Bernie at 34. Comfort, ding, ding, ding. Freezing point right now, 32 degrees. My buddy Brad Harrell in Comfort, I know you've got some pipes around your property and some exposed pipes. I know Brad, though. He's a plumber. I'm sure he took the necessary precautions. Anyway, Kerrville down to 29 degrees. Canyon Lake at 34. Oh, we're already starting to see that freeze. Ooh, Seguin at 62, though. Look at that difference. That's just wild. It's a rowdy cold front that's moving in. Okay, going through time. 6 o'clock, we're 29 degrees in San Antonio. Uvalde, close to freezing. Meanwhile, you go to Laredo, still 61. But around the KSAT 12 viewing area, by 6 o'clock, many of us dipping below freezing. 9, 10 o'clock, Cotulla, Carrizo Springs, Crystal City, Los Angeles, in LaSalle County, Los Angeles, down to freezing as well. I have some friend with cattle there, so that's how I know.
You've got you're up to speed on Los Angeles.
The sign is there, and you're like, oh, awesome.
You mean there's not a Hollywood sign?
Yeah,
just kidding.
That's a good one. Should put one up just for fun.
We should.
Just for fun. In Los Angeles, Texas. Got it on the map there. All right, temperatures by tomorrow morning, upper teens. So we're talking 18 in San Antonio. You get into the lower teens to near 10 in the hill country. Even Del Rio at 20 degrees tomorrow morning. Bandera, 14. Yeah, Pipe Creek area about 15, 14 for the morning low temperature. Bernie, 15. Seguin, 17. Thankfully, we're going to have a lot of sun. That sun goes a long way when it comes to having these cold temperatures. Even if you're just outside, of course, the difference between being in the sun and shade is significant. And that's why we always measure the temperature officially in the shade, because the sun will give you a misleading report. It will inflate the temperature over what it actually is. Tomorrow afternoon, we're at freezing in the hill country. Kerrville, Comfort, Sisterdale, Bernie, not even climbing above freezing. Same story with Bulverde, Smithson Valley, Canyon Lake, Fair Oaks Ranch, probably not even getting above freezing tomorrow afternoon. Cordillera Ranch, same story. New Braunfels up to about 34. Converse, 34 degrees. Live Oak, Selma, about 34. Downtown San Antonio, about 35 tomorrow afternoon. Nixon Smiley at 34 degrees. So just a few hours above freezing tomorrow afternoon. And something we haven't thought about before, or you may not have thought about before, the dreaded mountain sea.
And I'm glad that you have this graphic, because we have some folks asking in our YouTube chat, what does this mean for allergies?
I'll let you take it over. You want to take it over?
Absolutely. Okay.
Right. I get to go press the button on the camera control back in the control room.
Yeah, Adam's gonna go shape the camera up again. But yes, so a lot of times we actually have an article. You could probably just Google it up at KSAT.com, and it has to do with mountain cedar, and you know, typically this is the time of year where we see mountain cedar readings show up in the pollen count. And sometimes what we saw a couple weeks ago, that might have even been last week, after we get these cold fronts that move through, mountain cedar readings, they jump up very quickly. And the reason being is because we've got those male trees in the hill country, and they pollinate this time of year, late in the year. And once they pollinate, we've got all that pollen ready to rock and roll, and then we see these cold fronts move through the state of Texas. It shifts our winds in from the north, the northwest, sometimes even the northeast, but with where we are, where we're positioned in relation to the bulk of those trees that are pollinating in the hill country, that's when we often see that pollen then filter in to our area. So today, mountain cedar count, not bad at all. Very low, similar to what we saw out there yesterday. But after we see these north winds, very gusty north winds, then filter through a good portion of our area, that mountain cedar, all of that pollen then gets transported farther down to the south in our neck of the woods. So that means that as we head into our Friday, and even with those winds sticking a little bit around into the day tomorrow, we will likely see that mountain cedar reading increase and rise as we head into the Christmas holiday weekend. So that's just something to think about there, especially if you are affected by mountain cedar. I'm affected by mountain cedar, but I know a lot of people are. We will likely see that reading and that number rise as we head into our Friday. All right. Talking about those winds, here's the latest look at those wind gusts in and around Bexar County over at the airport. We've got a wind gust upwards of about 33 miles per hour, so that front moves through. And as we've been talking about, this is one of those fronts where you will know if it has passed you by, if it has moved into your neck of the woods, because yes, it is going to get cold pretty quickly, and also those winds are going to pick up very quickly as well.
It's a humdinger. All right, here's a task for everybody on our YouTube right now. Give us a good one word adjective for this cold front. I'm saying humdinger.
All right.
Or lunker. It's a lunker.
That's a good one,
kind
too.
Of a fishing term.
All right, I'm interested to see what you guys come up with there for sure. So yes, 30 mile per hour wind gusts in Bulverde, 28 up in Kerrville, 25 over at Los Maples. Now stretching over into eastern Medina County, Castroville, clocking in a wind gust of about 30 miles per hour. Same over at Port SA on the southwest side of the county. Zooming this out, still really now approaching Highway 90, moving over Highway 90, especially since Del Rio has already seen those temperatures start to drop out there in Valverde County. But behind that front, look at this, New Braunfels clocking at a wind gust of 41 miles per hour. So that's going to be the tune that we see in the trend that takes us into this afternoon and evening. That cold air rushes in. It does so via those gusty north winds. Could see wind gusts, and you can see this here on our futurecast, upwards of about 45, 46 miles per hour after the sun goes down. Still by sunset, wind gusts upwards of 40 miles per hour possible. So that's what factors in to that wind chill. Why we talk about the wind chill. Yes, those temperatures are going to fall pretty quickly. We'll be near freezing by 5 p.m. and then those wind chills will likely be in the teens through any evening plans and even more so through the overnight. Remember, we've got a hard freeze in store tonight. We'll wake up in the upper teens here in Bexar County, low teens across portions of the hill country, and then whenever you factor in still those wind gusts upwards of about 20-30 miles per hour tomorrow morning throughout the first half of the day, wind chill values in the single digits at times look to be a theme for any early Friday morning plans. So just something to think about there as well. It's what you're dressing for whenever you do step outside. We've gotten a lot of questions over the past week, just kind of gearing up for this cold snap. Is this going to be the same as what we experienced back in February of 2021? The short answer, no. No, it's not. And there are a couple of different reasons for that. So back in February of 21, the time that we spent below freezing, at or below 32 degrees, 107 hours straight. At most here in San Antonio, upwards of about 40 hours at most. We'll see tomorrow afternoon if we can briefly climb above that 32-degree mark thanks to ample sunshine and dry air. So we'll monitor that pretty closely here in town tomorrow afternoon. But we mentioned that sunshine. That's another reason why this does not compare to what we saw in February of 21. No precipitation is expected versus, of course, you don't need me to tell you what we found back then with that winter storm, just crippling ice and snow. And also the third reason why at our coldest, we're still not going to be as cold in terms of the air temperature as what we saw back in 21 as well. Coldest we got down to here in town, 9 degrees. Again, here in San Antonio, our forecast low tomorrow is 18 degrees. So, of course, we'll keep eyes on all of that. Hard freeze still expected, so just stay warm as best as you can when it comes to that. Bring your pets inside, potted plants, cover up sensitive vegetation. You all know the drill by this point. But another way to look at it, again, with our temperatures throughout the remainder of the day into our Thursday evening and through the overnight, they are just going to continue to fall. And it's going to feel even colder than that when we take a look at our trend. This is forecast morning low temperatures here over the next several days. Hard freeze Friday morning, Saturday morning, and a Sunday morning. And even though Saturday and Friday mornings are pretty similar in terms of our air temperatures, remember tomorrow morning we've still got some gusty winds on hand. So those wind chills are going to be in the single digits in spots here in Bexar County. Still going to be plenty cold out there Saturday and Sunday mornings. Definitely dress warm, bundle up. But winds are not going to be as strong as what we're expected to find out there tomorrow morning. But still, it is going to be cold. Notice, though, while Monday morning, upper 20s, still a hard freeze possible, we'll start to warm things up as we head into next week. Mid-30s by Tuesday here in town. Wednesday, we're about 9 to 10 degrees above that in the mid-40s. And then Thursday, even warmer than that in the upper 40s. So we'll start to see kind of that warming trend take us into next week and then in the days leading up to New Year's Eve and New Year's Day, if you can believe it. Okay, so really quickly, just to look at Christmas climatology, our average high here in San Antonio is about 63 degrees. Remember, we've got a forecast high of about 49 on Sunday, so we are going to be well below that in terms of our daytime high, and of course our morning low. We've got a forecast low of 22 degrees Christmas morning. So Christmas morning activities, kids are headed downstairs to see what Santa brought them. Cup of hot coffee, cup of hot cocoa.
Irish coffee.
Irish coffee.
It's Christmas,
all of the things. Yes, absolutely.
Yaya and Papu always request it. They're my in-laws, Yaya and Papu.
All right, well, there you go. And then records, of course, warmest is 90 degrees. We will not be anywhere near that. And then the coldest is 11 degrees. So there's kind of just a look at our averages and, of course, our records as we head into the Christmas holiday. Speaking of coldest, so remember, we've got that forecast low of 22 on Sunday morning. If that materializes and comes to pass, verifies, that would put us in the second top spot for the coldest morning that we've got on record. Those records do date back to the mid-1880s. The coldest low for a December 25th was that 11-degree reading back in 1983. So if we do see that official thermometer over at the airport drop down to 22 on Sunday morning, then that would put us in second place, followed by 23, 1989, 24. That was tied between 2004 and 1953, and then 26 degrees back in 1990. So definitely going to be keeping eyes on the thermometer pretty closely over the next several days, and of course today being no exception. Once again, this is just a look at those temperatures here later this evening. Tonight, fallen pretty fast, 32 degrees, so near about freezing by 5 p.m. And then especially after the sun goes down, those temperatures just drop off even more so, around 22 by midnight. And then we will fall into the upper teens here in Bexar County by wake up time tomorrow morning. Remember, it's still gusty and windy out there. And with that, those wind chills will be a pretty big factor as well. So while our actual air temperatures below freezing, mid to upper 20s by 7, 8, 9 p.m., those wind chill values likely in the teens. So that's what you're dressing for. And then tomorrow morning, it is just going to be a lot out there with those wind chills in the single digits here in Bexar County. And as we take a look at your 7-day forecast, the great news is into the afternoons over the next few days, y'all, we're going to see the sunshine. So that's going to help, especially when it comes to our highs each afternoon. Still cold out there, especially through Saturday. So Christmas.
Wait, let me get this to work. Sorry.
Okay. No, that's okay.
Here we go.
Still cold out there. Hard freeze through Sunday morning, another freeze Monday morning. But in the afternoons, thanks to that sunshine, that warming trend will take place. Around 40 on Saturday, near 50 on Sunday, and then upper 50s.
That's not working.
As we head into Monday of
That's
next
weird.
week.
Let me turn on.
We're just playing with some graphics.
Yeah, we're messing around. Huh, well, that's not working. Okay, I was trying to get a picture up, but you know.
Well,
doesn't always work out as expected.
No, it doesn't. And that's the beauty of these appcasts. You know, it's nice to be able to come to your phone whenever we do have kind of weather moving in, and really just nothing on radar, just when we have changes moving in as well. So,
and we'll show you a quick temperature trend thing, and then we should be able to wrap this up in a little bit. I mean, I hope y'all are prepared for what's coming, because we've been really getting on it here. I'm just reloading some of these things. So, you talked about the averages. Christmas, love it, love it, love it. Okay, because we're approaching 3 o'clock.
Oh yeah.
So let's start getting ready for a few other things. Boom, boom. Okay, we talked about Mountain Cedar. One question that came in. Temperature's still getting, or not a question, but temperature's still getting warmer in Bigfoot. Yeah, that's normal. Bigfoot, you're down there. Not far from Divine.
Got some compressional heating.
And that cold front, get ready though, it's going to drop quickly, because see those north winds? Castroville gusting to 30, and it's just, that wind is just working its way down to Divine right now. Also, will the bridges ice? No.
Which is so nice, so we don't have to worry about that, especially at a time when people are hitting the roads for those holiday celebrations.
Yeah, no ice on the bridges, no freezing anything on the roadways. You're fine, A-okay. Hey, what happened to all those social media posts over the last week and a half of, oh, the GFS is showing snow around Christmas, 240 hours out. I hate those, just so you know, I hate them. They're so irresponsible and just really a detriment to the science. Anyway, that's a whole nother soapbox I can get on. Don't get me started on watches as well. You know, watches. Hey, we've got a we've got a freeze watch. Well, I know we've been telling you for like 4 days it's gonna freeze. And are we watching for it? I'll control myself now. Anyway, looking at temperatures across the state, Laredo at 70. Meanwhile, we're 6 in Amarillo. That's the beauty of Texas when you have these big, strong blue northers moving around. Kerrville, Rock Springs now 28. Meanwhile, Cotulla 68. And Bigfoot, you down in Bigfoot? I forgot your name. I know it's on the YouTube.
Let me see. Maria.
Maria in Bigfoot. Done a little turkey hunting down there, by the way. Bagged a few birds down near Bigfoot. My friend's dad had some property down there. But anyway, I've spent a lot of time in Bigfoot area. You're probably in the 60s right now, and then temperature is going to quickly drop. I mean, if you just drove to Hondo, you'd feel it, or even into San Antonio, you'd feel it. Temperatures plummeting fast. And by 5, 6 p.m., we're going to be freezing here in San Antonio. Tomorrow morning, waking up to teens, even Beeville and Victoria, 19. Canyon Lake, 14. Kerrville, 12. Helotes, 17. Von Army, 19. Devine, Lytle, Bigfoot, probably about 20 degrees in the morning. Elmendorf, 20. Lavernia, 19 degrees. And then by tomorrow afternoon, we just briefly make it above freezing, and barely. Stone Oak, 33. Converse, 33. But again, that sunshine will help things out a lot. Even just that sun beating down on your house is going to make a big difference. Or even on some exposed pipes, it'll help out a lot. So the sun's going to help a lot tomorrow. At least we'll have that with us. Castroville making it to 36, and Seguin only about 33. Morning temperature trend, 18 tomorrow, 18 Saturday. So we do it all over again, minus the wind on Saturday. Then by Christmas morning, 22 degrees. Still a freeze on Monday morning, but then notice our temperatures really rise again as we get between Christmas and New Year's next week. We've got mornings back in the 40s, which is actually going to be climbing a little above average for this time of year. Afternoons are going to be chilly, but above freezing briefly tomorrow, and barely, but by Saturday, Christmas Eve, up to 40 degrees, Christmas Day, near 50 in the afternoon with that sunshine. I don't have to say it again, but I will. Sun goes a long way in these situations. And then by Tuesday, we're in the 60s, and middle of next week, we're talking right around 70 degrees. So the big headline tonight, temperatures plunging as we speak. I know not all of you have gotten hit by the front yet, but you will in just a few hours. And we'll update it all coming up at 5 and 6. But the wind chill is going to drop off a lot as well. Wind chills down in the teens this evening. And then overnight tonight and tomorrow morning, to expose skin outside when the wind blows, it'll feel like it's down in the single digits, at least periodically. That wind gusting to 45 miles per hour, so secure the Christmas decorations outside. Cold, obviously very cold. This is the coldest air that we've had since February of 2021, but not as cold as February 2021, and not as long in duration, and not the precipitation. So not really a similar situation. Texas travel, A-OK, roads are fine. You got the green light to hit the roadways. Nothing but sunshine. Just have to deal with the chilly stops to gas up and some cold, especially if you're headed north. You really want to pack the winter gear because talking temperatures dipping below zero up into the panhandle at times over the next couple of mornings. And it looks like we're down to 42 now.
And with a wind chill of 32.
Ah, there you go.
That's the feels like temperature we were talking about with that wind.
All righty. We're going to have to start prepping for our newscast, but we can say goodbye to everybody.
Absolutely.
Thanks for joining us.
Yes.
Thank you. Mwah.
So
yeah,
awesome.
We hope we helped you out and had a little fun too.
And thanks for asking questions and kind of just being really engaging with everything. We so appreciate it. And yeah, hopefully this was helpful because one of our producers just texted me and said, I went into Target and it was 60 something and I came back out and it was 40 something. So
there you go.
Yes.
Yeah, the shock has hit and now it's going to settle in for about 3 days. And then, as we said, we're going to warm up. So thanks for joining us. We'll be back at 5 and 6, getting everything updated for you. And sometimes we have to modify and tweak these numbers here, these highs and lows. So we'll let you know as we get the new data as we look at it here. All right? Have a great afternoon. And
Bye,
evening.
guys.
Stay warm. Hey, if you can, get that fireplace stoked up tonight, right?
With an Irish coffee.
Yeah, get cozy. Get cozy. All right, take care, everybody.